Hello gamers, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Mad City, again. I've already talked about it in this video, and ironically, right after I made that video, like shortly after, Mad City came back. And by Mad City coming back, I mean Mad City released Chapter 1 again, which is a big W right there. Overall, I think that was the best decision Swifty honestly could have ever made, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm really here to talk about it a whole lot, and serious problems that have been coming up with it lately, that I think at least should be addressed in some form. But overall, this is mostly a response video, really, I guess. Cannot emphasize enough how great of a decision it was to bring back Chapter 1, because if you haven't been paying attention lately, Mad City Chapter 1 is doing better than Mad City Chapter 2. And I really think this should go to show the developers just how stupid Chapter 2 really is. Like, no offense or anything, but like, Chapter 2 isn't very playable. I've tried it with my new graphics card. I can barely get 50 frames per second on there, which isn't good. It's like a very choppy 50 frames too. Like, you think the videos I was dropping earlier were choppy? No. This Mad City Chapter 2 is unplayable because you have very choppy frames. You also have AI cops, but I really talked about this in the video I mentioned earlier a whole lot. But yeah, here we are. We're here to talk about Chapter 1. And to be honest, I'm mostly happy with what's been done here. However, there are definitely some things I'd like to talk about, some criticisms I have for this. And really the first thing, and probably the most important thing, is the anti-cheat in this game is terrible. Like, hackers are a big problem in Chapter 1. This version of Mad City is old, okay? This is the Season 4 map, and I'll put a date on screen right now of when Season 4 was a thing, like when it first came out. But yeah, it was some time ago, to say the least. And obviously with advancements in technology and Roblox updates, the anti-cheat isn't very good, okay? Like, if you join a server, okay, and let's say you play for 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure, unless like you are the luckiest human being in the world, that there will be an auto-robber joining that server. And what an auto-robber is this is essentially a cheater, or a hacker really, with an exploit that allows them to teleport around the map and instantly rob everything. Typically mini heists. It's not very common to see an auto-robber rob like something like the bank or the club or the casino or anything. But they rob all the mini heists, and the mini heists, they give a lot of cash if you rob them all, that's for sure. I don't have an exact amount for you, but I can say with great confidence that it's a pretty good amount of money, especially like with this auto-robbing hack. To rob it all instantly and then server hop and do it all again, that'll get you tons and tons of cash instantly, really. It's a very fast method. However, obviously this is cheating in the game. You're supposed to go to and from the mini heists, you know, using those little legs of yours in this virtual landscape. However, auto robbers are really just like the least of your problems. Sure, if you're looking to grind some cash, it isn't really too much of a big deal. Like, it's a minor inconvenience if you go to the gas station only to find everything just robbed. However, I do believe that the developers should probably put something in place here to, you know, to make this stop. Because I think it's like destroying the game almost. I think it's very stupid that something like this is just happening. Like, hacking is against the Roblox terms of service, if you didn't already know. And the fact that people are just willing to break this rule instantly, because there's really no one watching this game, essentially. I doubt the developers are. And neither is Roblox, though, to be honest. I mean, Roblox, as shown by multiple videos by Ruben Sim, only cares about their stock price at the end of the day. And Mad City isn't really contributing much to that, so yeah, the Wild West out there. However, there are some more annoying hackers that will join your server occasionally, and that is the auto-killing hackers, which basically kills everyone on the entire server over and over again, which is damaging to the player count, because who the heck wants to play a game where you just die again and again and again, and you can't do anything about it, which is another exploit that I really think should be fixed as well. And again, I'd like to emphasize that I know this version of Mad City is old, and quite frankly, I don't think the developers really care that much about this, but I really just wanted to bring like these problems to light and potentially offer solutions. You know, if the developers decide to go back on this, I just kind of wanted to respond, really. However, hacking is definitely a big problem in Mad City, but I have a solution here, a solution that will fix everything without a single line of code added to the game. And that is, all you have to do is go and make VIP servers free, or private servers, sorry. They're not called VIP servers, but I'm really used to the times where they were. But yeah. Currently, VIP servers in this game, for some reason, cost 500 Robux. I don't know why, given all the game passes are free in this game. But yeah, they're just sitting there at 500 Robux, which is kind of weird because while the VIP servers originally in the game were 500 Robux, especially like when they added the commands to the game, I don't really think anyone has any nostalgia for spending Robux, spending 500 Robux exactly. So I believe that if you make the VIP servers free, this will basically keep the hackers out of people's games. Like, people will only play the game with, like, people they want to play with, really. So, like, if you have a small group of friends that you and the boys just like to play Mad City back in the day, well, you can go do it hacker-free in a private server that isn't accessible to any of these hackers. Because even if you go to dead servers, which can be accessed if you order the server list on the servers tab from Descending, you can find a whole bunch of servers with like 1 or 2 people in them. You can join those. But the problem is that those are also private servers, if you didn't already know. They're just super dead because Roblox isn't bringing any new players to them. However, this does not stop the hackers from joining you. In fact, I feel like they kind of target these servers a little bit because obviously it's the safest way to go without getting caught. Because there's not a whole lot of people there, not a whole lot of witnesses to see you. I think making the VIP servers free would do a major favor for the community here. Even like making them like a very cheap amount, like 10 to 50 Robux a month, would be absolutely game changing for the hackers. Because the hackers, they can essentially buy their own VIP server as well and do the hacking there. Like, who cares at the end of the day if they're doing it on their own stuff, really? It's better than them going into public servers where you have like new players who are legitimately trying to play the game. Although I don't really feel like people are really playing the game legitimately, which is kind of sad, honestly, because this game was like, I don't know, it was so fun to like grind and stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're watching this video, please do not hack, okay? If Roblox cared more about their moderation, they would definitely be banning a lot more hackers. And I'm actually kind of surprised that some of these hackers are allowed to exist here, because some time ago Roblox released an update where it enabled filtering for all Roblox games by default, which pretty much prevents like script injection into the games, which is what a lot of these hacks use. So maybe Mad City is just filled with a lot of backdoors and stuff, although I don't really see any models in the game that are like used in other games as well. So I don't know what's going on with the hacking stuff, but I'm guessing it's because the game is that old, really. So yeah, in conclusion, cheating is very high in Mad City. It's very rampant, and if you see a player with like the Nighthawk, chances are they did not earn that legitimately. Chances are they just used a bot account or something, or I don't know. They automated it completely and just auto-robbed. Because there's no way any reasonable human being can get that unless like you spend every last hour of your life playing this game from like the end of September all the way up to now, which is like mid-November probably, possibly late November at the time this video is being released. But yeah, if you do have the Nighthawk or any crazy, like the Rhino, any crazy vehicle like that costs a ton of money, and you earn that legitimately, you have my respect. And there are not a whole lot of players in Mad City with those kinds of vehicles that I respect, so yeah. Anyways, if Mad City is going to be improving their anti-cheat, I think the best way of doing so would be implementing a system where each robbery pretty much keeps track of who robbed it. And then each robbery pretty much follows a set of rules. So let's say the jewelry store is robbed, and then 2 seconds later the bank is robbed too, like that's 2 completed heists really, or they just left those 2 places, the player is kicked. I think this would be a great system to prevent auto-robbers, because the auto-robbers would be getting dinged every 2 seconds, really. Because auto-robbing requires you to rob places fast, and I think implementing like a hidden cooldown for robbing that's only really effective on auto-robbers, of course, I think this would be huge for the game. This would make the game a whole lot more fair. And obviously, I don't really know how anti-cheat works. I'm not really much of a coder, so at the end of the day, this could be completely like, this could have complete blatant loopholes to all the nerds out there. So if you don't like that, yell at me in the comments, I guess. The next major issue is really just something that us nerds will probably get upset about. And that is that Mad City Chapter 1 this version that we're playing right now is a very small fraction of Mad City Chapter 1, pretty much. And what I mean by that is only a small fraction of the features that were in Chapter 1, really. Like, every single feature you can name are in this version. Pretty much this version right here. This is the Season 4 map right here. And obviously Season 4, I'd say, is probably chosen for this because it's like the least buggy season. Of course, there are a good handful of bugs in this, but I really think that's just what makes Mad City in some ways. However, you could also argue that about Jailbreak too. I know Jailbreak's pretty notorious for its glitches out there and bugs you can use. However, I would absolutely love to see every single feature from like all the seasons. And I know this is gonna result in like a huge game here. But every feature, every like core feature from all the seasons implemented in some way. And pretty much what I mean by this is every single item is accessible. For example, there's no tram heist in the current version of Mad City right now, but obviously in the later seasons of Mad City Chapter 1 there was a tram heist, and I think implementing that would be absolutely huge. Like, loading forward to that map, but like fixing as many bugs as you can. And I am aware that the developers decided to move on to Chapter 2 because they couldn't fix all these bugs and the game was starting to break a whole lot. But I think implementing these things in-game would be great for the people playing and for the new players too. Because if you're a new player, the Mad City Chapter 1 you see right now is only a very small fraction of Mad City Chapter 1. And I use that term a lot, a very small fraction. Because I feel like Mad City Season 4, and Mad City Season 4 only, just alone, really doesn't represent Mad City Chapter 1 very much, but I think it gets a lot of the core mechanics down. Like, obviously, it's a game about robbing things, it's a game about becoming the hero, and it's a game about arresting people as a cop, but there are some things missing, like some other features that, like, police raids, for example. They came out in a later season, I know, and pretty much what a police raid is, it's like a robbery, but as a cop. You can only do them on the plane and the club, but they were pretty fun to do. It was a pretty big source of income for me in my early days of Mad City where I played as a cop. However, seeing things like this re-implemented into the game would be an amazing way to like archive all this stuff, even if like the developers don't want to work on this, because this really shows like what Mad City Chapter 1 was like, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's what this game is meant to do. Unless, of course, the developers are trying to revive Mad City and, like, trying to turn back time in a sorts, like I've heard. I think that would be a great starting point right there, would be implementing all the Chapter 1 features. Another big Chapter 1 feature that I'd like to talk about, too, is the feature of apartments, or houses, really. Pretty much what this was, is this was like Bloxburg, almost. This was like Bloxburg in Mad City, almost. Pretty much, this allowed you to buy your own designated space in one of 3 locations, I think it was, and at one point in the later seasons before Chapter 2. And pretty much in these houses you could buy furniture, you could even have radios in there, and pretty much you could customize the whole place, which is very different compared to the rest of Mad City. Mad City is really just like non-stop action stuff. It was a very fun way to, like, I don't know, chill out and stuff, you know, not be fighting a cop every 2 seconds as a criminal. However, these were removed in Chapter 2. Quite frankly, I think that was probably for the better, because these things, coding these things is probably no joke. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this will require a lot of programming expertise to have like a player be able to edit the world around them. However, I'd like to see this feature in the game again as well, because I think that's really like a unique aspect of Chapter 1 that's not really well known, and I'd kind of like more people to see it, to be honest. And I personally think it was very fun, like, being able to do this in Mad City. It would be like having your own criminal base, essentially. It was amazing, and it really sucks that it didn't stay. Additionally, this will be the last thing I talk about in this segment, but the Mad City map we have right now is not as big as, like, other Mad City maps. The other Mad City maps used to have this other section, which is, I want to say eastward of the airport. Pretty much you go past the airport after escaping the prison, you take a right, and it goes into this whole other area where another criminal base used to be. I'd actually love to see that area back again. I really think that's another element of the game that's kind of being phased out with this. I feel like the developers really couldn't make up their minds as to whether they wanted to implement this region or not, so it's just been like off and on throughout the different versions of Mad City, but I would personally love to see this one again. Overall, a bigger map pretty much means bigger history to store here. And it also means like a second criminal base, which obviously that'll reduce camping a little bit, but we'll talk more about gameplay later. The last thing I'd like to talk about really is the monetization of the game. Pretty much, with this game, we already talked about it a little bit, but the VIP servers are 500 Robux. But other than that, the game passes, they're all completely free, or they're just not in the game. Like, I know the SWAT game pass is partially implemented into the game, but the part where you could buy the SWAT van is completely gone. Like, I don't see a single SWAT van here, and the SWAT van isn't showing up on the list of vehicles you can spawn here. I think making the game passes paid again would balance the game a whole lot, as well as give some revenue to the developers, who I imagine probably aren't doing very well because of how much of a massive train wreck Chapter 2 is right now. Pretty much right now, the most effective way to PvP is to either spam the RPG and the shotgun or the AWP and the shotgun. Pretty much the AWP is like the upgraded version of the sniper, so pretty much you have two weapons, one is better than the other, one is clearly better than the other, both of them are for free. I haven't seen a single person use the sniper. It's all ops in the game. And overall, I think giving the players too much power without like any of that, you know, obstacle right there, that paywall, might be hurting the game a little bit. However, not really nearly as much as the hackers really. Overall, I think all of like the op PvPers right now, if you locked the heavy weapons game pass behind a paywall, they might get a little upset, but I still think that would mean like a wave of revenue for the developers right there, as well as like an easier to play game, because while the sniper only does 40 damage, I think it is, the AWP I know for a fact, and I know the hard way too, does 80 damage, which is pretty baffling really for something you can just pick up for free. So I think there should be some added difficulty there, and that added difficulty should obviously be what it was in the original Mad City Chapter 2, which was the paywall of the heavy weapons game pass. Same thing applies to the RPG. I know I spam the RPG a ton. I know people get mad, but hey, we can reduce the anger in this angry town if we simply put these back behind the paywalls they were under, because that was for a reason really. But overall, in conclusion here, I really think the game passes are just giving way too much power to all the players, and it's really like not only making the game slightly harder to play, but what I think is more important is that it's making some parts of the game pointless, like small tidbits like the sniper. There's absolutely no point in using the sniper whatsoever. Same goes for the AK-47 with the SCAR and the M4A1 being available. You could even argue that there's no point in using the SCAR, which is a game pass, with the M4A1, because the M4A1 shoots a ton more and doesn't have as much bloom, I think it is, or recoil, which makes it a lot more practical for disabling vehicles, which people sure do have in this game from all their cheating they've done. But anyways, yeah, that's all I've really got to say. Talk about it, I guess, with your friends, or not. Do what you want to do with this information. I'd just like to remind everyone that this is strictly my opinion and really what I want to see in the game. If you think differently, you're entitled to your own opinion, okay? If you think Mad City should stay exactly the way it is, you know, I can kind of see that, because this will probably be the only Chapter 1 we ever get, knowing these developers. But, yeah, that's all I've really got to say. Feel free to join my Discord, link in description, and I am out. See you later.